everybody, this is Amy Rich with amyrich.stampinup.net. It is Stampin' Sunday time, featuring the Paper Pumpkin kit from November, and it makes 10 really cute Christmas cards. But I'm going to use these products from the kit to make something a little different today. So let's just get started. I was trying to decide on a project and found one on Pinterest and decided to kind of make it my own. So we're going to take a 12 by 12 piece of very vanilla cardstock, and we're just going to measure to the middle, which would be 6 inches. So I've got my ruler. We'll just make a little notch at 6 inches, and then we're going to use that ruler to draw a line about 2 inches down. Okay, that's just a guideline. All right, so then what we're going to do is go up from the corner to the guideline, and we want this line to be 12 inches long. So you can see it's going to be a little bit past the guideline, but we wanted that middle to be marked. So we're going to just draw that line so that we have 12 inches from there to there. We're going to have 12 inches along this side, and then we're going to draw that same line to make sure it's 12 inches on the third side as well. Mark that. And as with any measuring, you know, it's not always going to be perfect. So I did the best I could, and that's where I'm going to go. I'm going to bring in my trimmer, and I'm going to trim, let me put it this way. I'm going to trim off to the point of that triangle that I drew, so that now you see it's cut off at the tip of the triangle. And then we're going to trim those lines. And I'd rather trim inside the lines just a hair than outside, because it's going to make my card go together a little bit quicker. So I'm just going to go inside those lines and then trim those off. Oh, I didn't quite get the tip, so we'll just trim the tip. And if you'd prefer, you could trim those with the scissors, but I just did it with my trimmer to make it a little quicker. Okay, so now I'm going to find the center of each side. So remember how I wanted them about 12 inches? So I'm going to just center that in the 12-inch ruler and then mark again the 6-inch sides. So I'll do that on each side like so, and then just make a tick mark at that 6 inches. So we'll do that on all 3 sides, and a tick mark. All right, bring my trimmer back in, and now we're going to connect those tick marks with a scored line. So I'm going to put the tick marks in my the runner of my blade, except I'm just going to score that, and hopefully you can see that. And then we're going to turn it and do the same thing. So get those tick marks in the groove of the blade, or the scoring blade, and then we'll do the last one the same way. Just put those tick marks in, score it. Okay, and now we're going to put the point side out, and then we're going to line this scoring line up at the 1 3/4 inch line on my grid, on my trimmer, and score again. So we're going to go all the way around and do that 3 times, just like we did with the other one, making sure that these lines line up with the 1 3/4. And one more time. And again, it's not an exact science, but we do the best we can. So here we see now we've got scored lines. So we're going to fold We're going to fold those in and then the other part out. So we've got 3 sides that are going to look like this. And using a bone folder will just help get those creases nice and tight. Okay, so we'll go in on the closest one to the middle and then back out again. Okay, so we'll go in and then back out. All right, so this is what we've got. Okay. Now we're going to start decorating a little bit, and we're going to take these spots here and fill them in with garden green cardstock. We've got 6 pieces because we're going to do it on both sides. All right, so what we need to do first is measure the longest length, which is about 6 inches. And then we're going to cut these to 5 3/4, which I've already done. And then widthwise 1.5 inches. So 1.5 by 5 3/4, 6 of those. To get the right angle, we're just going to put it up against, make sure it's even up against the crease on the back side. Just going to, oops. And we're just going to mark that with a pencil. And then we're going to move it over to on the other side, but still lining it up with the corner. Then we're just going to trim that down and then use a scissors to trim that off. Again, not very scientific or mathematical, but hey. All right, so then we're going to check and make sure that it fits in there pretty well. And you can always trim it down a little bit if you can eyeball it. But this should get it to fit in there nicely. Okay, so once it's looking the way you want it, then you can do the rest of them by just lining these up. And either you can go ahead and use your pencil again, or you can just trim them off like so. This is the most unscientific project I think I've ever made, but you figure it out. Okay, then once you've got all 6 of them done, then you can adhere them to the card. Now we'll flip to the other side and do it again. Now we're going to decorate the triangle pieces. We need to know how long the triangle is, so 3.5, and how wide. And it's about 4, so 3.5 by 4. So then using the paper, there are a couple different plaid papers that come with the kit. We just want to make sure now that these are cut 1/4 inch smaller than that. And I had pre-cut them and realized I forgot to cut them 1/4 inch smaller. So what we want them to end up to be is 3 1/4, because the height of our triangle is 3.5, and then 3 3/4 because the width of our triangle is 4, and we want these to be able to layer in there. Okay, so now we're going to measure halfway. So half of 3 3/4 is 1 7/8. So we're going to make a tick mark here at 1 7/8. And we're going to do that with the other 2 as well. And I won't make you watch me do that. Then you bring your trimmer back in and you trim from that tick mark to the corner. So then what you're going to have is a triangle that should layer right in to your card. Beautiful. Voila. All right, so now when those triangles are done, we can fit them right in to position. That was a little more mathematical, so I'm happy now. So now what your card is going to do is go in and out and in and out and in and out, and then this section gets tucked under just like that, so that you've got yourself a star. Pretty snazzy. All right, to do something on the inside here, we need to do the same thing. We want to measure, okay, so that's 6, and that's about 5 1/8. But we're going to take a piece of white because we're going to combine our white with vanilla on this project. And 5 1/8, and we want to go a 1/2 inch smaller, so that's 4 5/8. Oop, we better do this one first. 5 3/4 by 4 5/8. Now we're going to do the same thing. Which direction do we want to go? We want to go this way. All right. So then we take our ruler and we measure halfway to 5 3/4, which is 2 7/8. And then we're going to trim that like we did the last one. We line up the tick mark with the corner of the cardstock to trim these off. And then that's just going to fit right in here. Beautiful. Let's do the stamping on this piece really quick. We're going to take a couple of the stamps from the Paper Pumpkin stamp set. Just ink that up. Stamp that on and pray that it's straight because I can't look over the top of it. And there is also kind of a pine needle stamp, so we're gonna stamp a couple of those on here as well. In garden green ink so that it matches. Okay, then we're going to adhere that into place. Just like that. All right, and then we're going to fold this back up again. Now, what I noticed before is that we had a little bit of a hard time getting that folded in there. So then you can just go back in and just trim off a little bit to make sure that that's going to fit into place a little bit more easily. So the bottom goes up first, then the left, then the right, and then we tuck the right side in. And then we've got our star. Now, using our glue dots, we're going to put in a couple of these great pine needles, and these come right in the kit, so we're just going to put them right here on our project. So we're going to just add a glue dot and put those on. And then we're going to take one of the banners, little banner in the kit, and it's in white. And then there's a Merry and Bright stamp. So we'll ink that up, stamp that on our banner. And again, it's really hard to line it up straight when you can't look directly over the top of it, but I figure you don't want to see my hair or the top of my head, so we'll just go for it this way. All right, we'll layer that over the top of the pine needles. And then the kit also comes with some great gold adhesive sequins because the paper, the plaid paper, is also has a gold line in it. So we're just going to add a couple of sequins here. And then to complete my rule of threes, I'm going to grab a little bow, and I made that using this great trim. It's like our linen trim from the holiday catalog, except it's in cherry cobbler. Ah, it's to die for. So I made a little bow. And again, we're just going to add a couple of the glue dots that come in the kit. We want to complete that rule of threes that makes our eyes look 3 different places for the embellishment. So we've got our rule of 3 here, and isn't that cute? Then we open it up, and there we go. So adorable. The first one I did the same on the outside, but then on the inside, I added the other designer series paper from the kit on that inside strip. I didn't like that as well though, because it wasn't long enough to fit in as far as I wanted it. So it, you know, it didn't go together, I didn't think, quite as nicely. But otherwise, I'm very happy with this one as well. So I'm hoping that you can duplicate this project and have a little fun with it this Christmas season. And again, this card can have an envelope made using the envelope punch board, and then you're all set to pop it in the mail or put it on a gift. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and I hope you have fun creating this Christmas season.